Good evening and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori. This is Africa 54. Tonight, residents of Nepal are mourning their loved ones and struggling to cope with the devastation of Saturday's massive earthquake that has killed more than 4,000 people. Authorities in Nepal are scrambling to coordinate humanitarian aid and the rescue efforts of victims that may still be trapped in the rubble of collapsed buildings. VOA's Zlatica Hoke has more.
Mass cremations of the earthquake victims in Nepal continued on Monday to prevent the spread of disease.
The cremation started early in the morning. The Nepalese government has ordered the cremation for 24 hours. The army has provided wood, and the bodies are being burnt at the place where they are found.
Saturday's earthquake is the worst to hit the Himalayan nation in more than 80 years. Destruction and the fear of aftershocks have sent many in the capital Kathmandu fleeing the area in overcrowded vehicles, among them out-of-town students.
This is all because of earthquake. We are going to our home. We don't feel safe.
Many left their rattled homes to sleep under tents.
This is our third night, and it has been really hard to stay here. Our government hasn't done anything better. Only India is helping us.
India has sent helicopters, medical supplies and personnel. Many mountain climbers, including this Dutch national, were rescued by an Indian team.
He rescued me. I was hanging there someplace just to have the rocks going over me, and then he said, "You have to come." And he brought me to a place that was just a little bit outside of all the rocks were coming down. It's very dangerous. I've been so scared. And the whole night we had these shakes. And the whole night you felt these rocks coming down. It's very, very scary.
Nepal's other neighbor, China, also was among the first to send aid. A group of Chinese volunteers arrived at the Kathmandu airport Monday.
We've just arrived and carrying body bags for those search and rescue team who have found the bodies. And also we have stretchers to evacuate those who are still alive. And then we also brought in some water filtration systems for the basic survival needs.
Aid and rescue teams from other countries also are on the way, but not all are able to land at the overcrowded Kathmandu airport. Landslides and rubble are blocking aid from reaching more remote communities, raising concerns that the number of casualties will rise once rescuers get through. Dogs are brought to sniff out survivors, among diminishing hope that any more will be found under piles of rubble. The quake was particularly destructive because it was close to the surface. Powerful tremors toppled buildings, opened gaping cracks in roads, and the initial earthquake was followed by aftershocks that added to the damage of rattled structures. Tens of thousands of Nepalese now depend on foreign aid to survive. Zlatica Hoke, VOA News, Washington.
Well, the challenges facing Nepal are enormous, with early reconstruction estimates at around $5 billion. Aid workers from around the world are rushing to get into Nepal, which is set for a long and difficult recovery. Arash, Arabasadi reports from Washington.
This is Nepal, just days after a 7.8 magnitude earthquake claimed at least 4,000 lives. Aid pours in from around the world, but getting help where it's needed is a challenge of its own.
The situation on the ground in Kathmandu, in all of the affected areas, is extremely chaotic in the wake of an earthquake of that magnitude.
Chris Skopek is Senior Director of Emergency Response and Preparedness at International Medical Corps. He says part of the problem is that the small airport there is overloaded.
We've had 2 flights that have had our personnel on board that have been turned back and not been able to get in. Some flights are landing, but it's hit or miss at this point.
That brings its own host of problems. Reports cite more than 7,100 injured, and by all accounts, Nepal's medical infrastructure can't handle the load. But Skopek says it's more than delivering medical supplies.
People are being displaced, and so in such a context, the availability, the potential for waterborne illnesses grows dramatically, and oftentimes we'll see even more casualties in the second wave based on preventable diseases as opposed to just the earthquake itself. So we're really looking out for the public health concerns and what can come after
The first people, we quote first responders, are people who live there and are from there, doing everything they can to help themselves in the first several hours.
Tracy Rains is director of the International Response Center at the American Red Cross. She says communications between aid workers in Nepal is intermittent.
The system at the moment is pretty weak. It's difficult to get signals across a really mountainous country. That has not been better after this, it's been worse.
Which brings us to volunteers Glenn and Julie Bradley. The married couple of 26 years left from Washington Monday night for Istanbul on their way to Nepal.
We're going in to set up communications and computer networks, radio communications and internet.
We're initiating internet capability to have a more coordinated disaster response.
In a country with terrestrial communications challenges, building a need-based system amid a natural disaster may be one of the biggest challenges facing aid workers right now. And as more inbound flights are turned away, concern grows for those in need of immediate medical care. In Washington, Arash, Arabasadi for VOA News.
Well, for more on the international relief efforts, Sunjuli Kunwar, Emergency Communications Officer, World Vision Nepal, joins us by phone from Kathmandu. Ms. Kunwar, welcome to Africa 54.
Yes, hello?
Yes, Ms. Kunwar, tell us what you have witnessed as you continue helping people on the ground. How do things look like there?
Yes, the situation is very tense because people are in need of so many things, especially shelter. And the weather conditions have not been good. It's been raining. Even today I had been to one of the most affected areas, that is Makori in Kathmandu, and it rained really heavily, and people, they cannot go back to their homes because most of the homes have been damaged, and most of the houses, they have cracks on it. As you know, the tremors are still on, so they don't have that confidence to go back to their homes. So the situation is actually getting worse because of the weather conditions.
Mm-hmm. Now,
and it's causing more panic.
Yes, now we know people are complaining that they're not getting help. Is it because the help is not being taken, or because logistically it's not just possible?
One of the reasons is because the topography of our country, because many parts have been affected and people have not been able to reach there. It is also because of the ongoing tremors that are still going on. There have been almost 100 tremors after the big earthquake. So people have not been, like even the search and rescue team, they all have not been able to go to the inner core areas. And, the people have not been able to go inside and see what the real picture is till now. Mm-hmm. So that is one of the reasons.
Yes. Now, what is the most urgent thing now that needs to be done?
The urgent need for now is definitely shelter for people, because most of the houses, people cannot go in and stay. So shelter, also because of the weather conditions, as I told you, it's been raining almost every day. So they need shelter. And another thing is drinking water. People to drinking water, they are having difficulty in getting safe drinking water in most of the places.
Well, Ms. Kunwar, thank you very much. That's Sunjuli Kunwar, an Emergency Communications Officer with World Vision in Nepal.